On the line with us right now, Randy Neugebauer. Welcome to the program. You're in Lubbock this week, yes?
Yes, I am. Here in Lubbock a couple of days and headed over to the eastern part of the district, the Abilene area, so traveling around. So it's good to be back in God's country.
Okay. All right. Laura and I were talking about the three American guys who put the kibosh on Mr. Crazy with the AK-47 on the high-speed train that was bound for Paris.
Yeah, great heroes.
I'm just kind of curious, and I applaud those guys, and I think it was fantastic that they did that. But I was also kind of giving an ovation to President Francois because he turns around without hesitation and says, "Good job, guys." What's your feeling on this? I mean, because a lot of times we tend to hem-haw around with stuff. You know, we got to verify this and verify that. Well, this guy's just saying, hey, guys, whatever you want. You know, you want a burger? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to present them with a Legion of Merit award, which I think is a very high French honor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's already pinned him with it. Yeah. He's already pinned him with it.
And, you know, I think that shows a great deal of leadership on his part. I think there's several things about this over the weekend, Tom, that I was thinking about. And these lone wolf incidents are going to only increase in frequency. And I think what these three Americans pointed out to all of us is we're all going to have situational awareness because as ISIS and these terrorist groups recruit Americans, or implant people in this country to carry out these activities, we're all going to have to be a little bit more situational aware of, when these kind of things, pop up.
Okay, Laura and I were discussing this a little bit earlier, and the guy's attorney says that he was he was hungry. He was going to rob the train. But I think it's one of those situations where you kind of suspect if you're going to rob a train and you're hungry, you don't have an AK-47, a pistol, a knife, and 500 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah, I mean that's a weak story, and that's not going to hold up. I don't believe that. You don't go storming in Rambo style to try to get a little money for food.
I just don't. How did he even get on the train with an AK-47?
Well, Laura, that's a very good question. That's a discussion that continues in Washington and probably around the world is that, a lot of places where you get on the train, you don't go through any kind of metal detector. Basically, you buy a ticket and you go get on the train. And as you know, some of these guns, you can break those guns down and put them in a fairly small case. So, I think obviously they'll be looking at film footage, I imagine, in the rail station trying to figure out, what he was carrying to get those weapons on the train. But generally, I mean, bus stations, train stations, there's just, there's not a lot of, you get on the metros, the subways, there's no metal detectors or security devices in those areas.
Yeah, they open the doors, the cows walk on, and they open again, the cows walk off.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Just from the looks of the photos that I've seen from this, it looks like it may have been what they would call like an AK pistol. Basically it's kind of like a pistol grip and a very short gun. In the United States, what you have to do, I think it takes like up to a year to get permitted for something like that, according to Steve over at LSG Tactical. Anyway, Randy Neugebauer, stay with us at 742. Good morning. This is Lubbock's First News. Tom Collins, Laura Mack, Randy Neugebauer on the line with us. Randy, I was thinking Laura could maybe, ask some pervasive questions to maybe try and figure out just exactly what this man's angle is. What are you thinking, Laura? I mean, you're the preschool director.
Well, yeah, he does tend to act like a toddler.
What makes Kim Jong-un tick? I mean, really.
I think that's the question a lot of people ask. And, this is a very young man to begin with, but doesn't act very rationally. And, why North Korea's decided to escalate their activity with South Korea right now is, I think, a question a lot of people are asking, but it does make for a very tenuous situation over there because nobody really knows how he will react, and he does irrational things.
I'm just kind of interested to know, because he's upset about two things. Number one, the joint military exercises between the United States and South Korea. But he's also upset about
the broadcast.
Yeah, the broadcast, the propaganda that's blaring over the border. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not so sure that Led Zeppelin, had that kind of broadcast power. I mean, it looks pretty stout. So, also, what do you think that translation is? Anybody know exactly what they're broadcasting? What are they saying? I mean, are they talking bad about his mama or what?
Well, we've done that in other parts of the world.
We have talked bad about his mama in other parts of the world?
Well, yeah. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. That's classified, Tom. I can't tell you about that. Yeah. But, obviously, one of the things that, if you're going to overthrow some of these regimes like Kim Jong, you let the people that his constituency know how the rest of the world lives. And so you try to, instill into the people that they don't have to be oppressed. I mean, the people in North Korea are not living the happy life. And so, obviously, you try to, let those folks know that there's a different way. It's a propaganda type of proposal. But the other thing, too, the joint training exercise, we've been doing that a long time. And he knows why we do that because, everybody is very concerned that he twists off one day and escalates that border issue to a level where there needs to be a response. And obviously, if there's a response, South Korea is our ally, and, we're going to support them.
Well, just a quick note from our producer, Jody Smyer, is wondering if it's classified. Then you probably have copies on your phone, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's the server that's in my restroom in here. Yeah.
Hey, all of this stuff it just seems so. I mean, this has been going on so long. Are we really taking this guy serious, or is this just like another, flare-up?
Yeah, I think we always take these situations serious, particularly with him, because he, like I said, he doesn't act in a rational way. And, what happens is sometimes these things snowball, and so somebody starts something, there's a response, and and pretty soon you've got, and we do know he's got missile capability and some other things, and so you have to take him seriously.
I just wonder how the people of North Korea feel. I mean, me being half Korean and all, I'm just wondering how the people of North Korea can actually, follow somebody that's operating at such a mental deficit. I just don't. I mean, I don't get it. But anyway.
Well, because they fear for their life, Tom. I mean, or their families disappear, or they end up in prisons. I mean, the way that you sustain that kind of regime is the way he sustains that is, with a very heavy hand.
Yeah, dirty pool. All right, 7:51 back with Randy Neugebauer. Good morning. Tom and Laura, Randy Neugebauer on the line with us this morning. Let's shift our attention over to China and their economy. And Laura and I were talking about this last week, Randy. In my industry, which is kind of like the sign business, which has a lot to do with technology, digital printing and all. A lot of the Chinese equipment, let me put it to you this way. I've never seen any Chinese equipment that was really worth anything. The Japanese stuff always blows it away. And you don't see a whole lot of American stuff either when it comes to that. It seems like China's taken over the manufacturing and, we owe them, oodles and goodles of money. And now their economy is sucking. Where does that leave us?
Well, I think, it's a global economy that we operate in, and China, is a large economy, and it's been a very fast-growing economy, and a lot of people have been depending on the growth in the China economy. We've got U.S. businesses that have, been doing business in China, and so, obviously they've been one of the engines for the global economy. Now their engine is sputtering a little bit. The European engine's sputtering a little bit, and quite honestly, the U.S. engine has not been able to get back to the momentum that it had a few years ago. And so you take these three large economies, and I think I think that's maybe what the stock market is trying to say right now is things are not as rosy as have they been in the past.
Well, on top of all of that, when you're in and around, and the closer you get to election year in the United States, it always throws another wrench into the economy because there's people tighten up because they're unsure about what's going to happen.
That's right. Everybody's trying to figure out, who's going to be the next president of the United States, and then, based on who that's going to be, what will be the policy of this country. And as you say, every one of these presidential elections eventually, if not mainly, becomes around the economy. And if the economy continues to kind of start sagging here, obviously that's going to be a big topic for the future presidential debates.
Okay, question. In your personal opinion, do you think that Biden jumps in here, that he's going to get the nod, or do you think Hillary can hang on and weather this particular storm?
Hillary's losing some popularity with the Democrats. They're beginning to step away from her a little bit because of all of her problems. She's got problems with her server. She's got problems with Benghazi, and her polling numbers are not all of that good. And they're beginning to wonder if she's going to be, a viable candidate in 2016. And so I think what you see is behind the scenes is some of the leadership in the Democratic Party are out, recruiting. And Biden, I think, met with Elizabeth Warren over the weekend, and don't know what those discussions were about, but so we'll see. But I think there's a possibility.
Yeah, the speculation is that they don't know if the party would support him if he couldn't afford the campaign. But if he jumps in there, don't you think the money, and we got about 10 seconds, don't you think the money's just going to roll?
Well, the Democrats got to have a candidate, so as soon as they find one they think can be competitive, they'll be behind him.
All right. Randy Neugebauer, thanks for joining us.